famous American has returned. I'm an interesting guy. I talk about interesting things, and random people on the internet read them. But I'm also a random person on the internet too. This is what we have going on. It's worth your time to watch this video. It's worth my time to make it. And what do we hope to get from this? Comments, so that we can further discuss these things. That's why I make these videos. I like to have these discussions. I like to have my perspective broadened. Now let's check out this video. I made a video that is arguably one of my most popular and engaging videos, called Why Do I Never See Mexican Homeless People in Nashville? I do live in the Nashville, Tennessee area. I've lived here for over a dozen years. And I think we need to discuss this from someone with the screen name of FR. Here it is. Quote, I'm Hispanic and live in Tennessee. Here are some things to consider. First, keep in mind that some of the Mexicans don't have documents and have the language barrier, so they'll take whatever they can find. I saw some yesterday pouring asphalt under 100-degree sun. Number two, Nashville area has one of the best unemployment rates in the state, better chances to find a good paying job. Next, in many countries, to be homeless means you can't afford to even have shoes or a blanket. And then here's the rest of the comment, and I like this. It says, everybody knows outside the USA, this is a nice, rich country. McDonald's, tents, and cell phones are affordable. Plus, the government helps you in many ways if you are poor. You can be poor but fat, and I've mentioned that before. I think it's very important to acknowledge that. For the history of the world, it used to be if you were rich, you were fat because you had more than enough. And if you were poor, you were skinny and malnourished. Now it's the opposite, that typically lower income people have access to food, but the wrong kinds of food, which makes them overweight. And they have access to less education as far as, hey, we need to be eating lots of fruits and vegetables and not a lot of processed food. And often those things cost more money, so therefore it's kind of reversed. So, and if we need to talk more about that, we can, but I think I pretty much said it all right there. Okay, so in the United States, you can be poor but fat with a flat screen and an iPhone. Final sentence, it says, put these people 1 month in Venezuela and they'll see what real hunger and misery are, end quote. So I agree with this comment. I love this. I think this is important. And this is what my channel is all about. I recognize the kind of things I say in these videos. The Twitter police would arrest you if you put some of the stuff I say on Twitter. But in YouTube, it's more of a safe haven because we can talk about things that maybe would be perceived as politically incorrect. But I think these conversations need to be had in a culture that teaches you can't say certain things on Twitter because it might hurt somebody's feelings. So let's talk about this. Here's the thing, and this is I'm being real and vulnerable with you right here. Am I supposed to take off the sunglasses to like make this more real? And like, because in movies they take off their glasses if they say something serious. I'm not going to. I'm gonna leave the glasses on. So I'm getting super real with you. For me as a Christian, I struggle with this. This is a part of my Christian struggle. To know that Jesus talks about caring for the poor. The poor will always be among us and caring for them. But as an American in the United States, I struggle with this. Because especially even in Nashville, for one, and that's the whole video, I've never seen a Mexican homeless person. They're taking the jobs that everyone else is not willing to do. The harder conditions, extreme manual labor, no benefits, no insurance, less pay, etc. When a white man born in the United States can, oh, my back, oh, and draw disability or get welfare. But here's the thing that really, like, it's a struggle for me as a Christian American who happens to be of Mexican descent, a quarter. But here's the thing. I have seen many Mexican homeless people in Nashville, across the United States too. We could say California, but specifically this is the area I live in, Tennessee. I see homeless people, white homeless people, who are not Hispanic, who are not even of 25% Mexican heritage, white people who are homeless with a cell phone. Now, I understand. Somebody could watch this video and totally explain why it is that they have a cell phone. And I can understand how, even if the government gives them a cell phone and they can afford it, it's going to help further them in the right direction as far as getting back on their feet and not living in a tent, etc. I totally get that. But for me, I am a recruiter for a living. I'm basically in sales. And I have this marketing mindset. And it's a matter of you want to sell the idea. So if you're homeless and you have a cell phone and you're talking on it and you're smoking a cigarette, for me driving by, I'm thinking, and this is the struggle for me as a Christian, I'm thinking, I'm supposed to have compassion on that person. That person's poor, but they have a cell phone, and even if the government provides that for them, they still found cigarettes. They still found something that's ultimately not good for them, and they could have bought food with it. That's a real struggle for me. I know that people can leave comments to totally justify why homeless people in the United States have cell phones and smoke cigarettes. But what I'm saying is, it really is a challenge, and it's not just me. A lot of people see this and are confused by it. Because are we really poor? Is, I think, the question that comes up. I agree. You look at people in other countries, poor is a completely different thing than it is here. Here in one of the richest countries of the world, even the homeless can have a cell phone and still smoke cigarettes. Compare that to other countries, and I don't think that we can safely say that. We truly are a rich truly are a rich country when our homeless can have cell phones and smoke cigarettes. So ultimately, this is a video of me just trying to sort this out. As a Christian, it's part of my identity to care for people who are poor. Yet I really struggle with going through the drive-thru. And we hear this all the time in Nashville. You go through the drive-thru, go to Chick-fil-A or whatever, Wendy's, whatever. You give the person the food, and there's a recurring story. They'll say, oh, well, I don't really like that. Like, those stories are common enough, and I've talked to enough people who've done that. Like, that's a kind of like homeless culture here. So here's what I'm saying. Is the problem me that I don't have a big enough heart as a Christian and I need to care more? I'm sure that's part of it. But I'm saying the marketing of it isn't helping the situation for us to have more compassion for homeless people when we see that maybe their version of poverty doesn't. For me, if I'm going to give money to help somebody, honestly, it's for people in other countries. That's how I feel. And I do donate money through my church, which goes to people in other countries who are truly in poverty. If they had a cell phone, they'd sell it to make money to buy food. If they had cigarettes, they'd take them and sell them to the market, or at least trade them out for something else, because that's how starving they are. So for me, I do donate money, but it tends to go out of this country to help poor people outside of this country. That's a perception issue, at least that I'm struggling with, that I'm trying to sort out. That one of the wealthiest countries in the world, as Jesus said, the poor will always be among us. Even in the richest countries, we're still going to have people who even psychologically don't have the skills they need to work a job and to keep a job and etc. It's not a lack of jobs. It's often that they have psychological issues that keep them from being able to hold a steady job. I get that. Often they come from a home where they were abused or abandoned, or have certain disabilities mentally that keep them from even holding a steady job at McDonald's. And I can also agree, working at McDonald's isn't necessarily going to pay the rent. If you're working at McDonald's, you're probably having to live in a house with other people who also work minimal paying jobs as well, that sort of thing. But mentally, I think that I need to understand this more. Maybe I just need to accept it. Maybe it is what it is. Maybe I live in one of the most wealthiest countries in the world, and our homeless people don't look that poor compared to the poor of the rest of the world. And as far as me devoting my time, energy, and most importantly, money to help the people who are poor, I guess what I'm saying is it's much more enticing to help donate money to people outside the United States, because for me, they're the real poor people. This is my moral dilemma. I'm just being real with you. Where do your comments belong? How do we keep this conversation going? The comment section right here.